We've done a little foundation using NARS Radiance Foundation, and now we're gonna start on the eyes. We're gonna start doing the eyebrows. We're using NARS 2.4 in the shade Light. And I'm just highlighting right under the brow bone to determine what shape I'm gonna give Natalia. Next, we are just setting the concealer with a little bit of Laura Mercier powder. And this is just translucent. All right, we're gonna get into brows now, and we're gonna be using Anastasia Beverly Hills in soft brown. We're gonna start by underlining the bottom portion of her brow, very lightly, and just kind of doing little strokes going upwards. All right, now that I've penciled them in, I'm gonna go in with a little concealer and just refine them a little bit more from the top part. Now, fluffier brows, you know, more like hair-looking brows are like actually very in right now. So I think
So I'm trending without.
You're trending, girl.
Because I usually like to have them a little cleaner on the ends, but.
See, I like right now you have a little like.
It's like fluffy extra hairs.
Little extra hairs in the bottom, but because it's so light, it just kind of looks blended into your brow. This is a very important step though, because if you like your eyebrows to look very clean and defined, this little bit of a trick will do so much. And actually, if you're not a very good, you know, if you don't know how to use a pencil very well, it's okay, because that's why we use the concealer to clean up the shape after. So it's kind of like a really good trick to know. All right, now we're gonna be using Laura Mercier Shadow Primer in the color Wheat. Just gonna do a little bit and then blend it out. And it's one of my favorite primers of all time. It's just a good go-to. All right, we're gonna get into eyes now, and we're gonna be using NARS Skin Deep Palette. It's one of my favorite palettes of all time. And we're gonna start using this, the lightest shade here, just to go over my primer. So I'm just gonna lightly dust it over her eyelids. Next, we're gonna get this taupey color. It's more like of a contour color. I'm gonna start at the outer corner and then work it in to the crease. Next, I am using Benefit Hoola Bronzer with a little MAC fluffy brush, little blending brush. And I'm just gonna work this shade in her inner crease. I'm gonna bring this shade a little into her nose. Eventually, we'll blend that into her nose contour. We're gonna be using this reddish tone with an hourglass brush. It's very tight. And I'm gonna create my own crease. So I'm gonna have her open her eye, look straight ahead, and then I could see where I'm gonna place the crease whenever I look down, and just kind of follow the shape into the inner corner. I'm gonna take the exact same shade with the same brush and just do her lash line on the outer parts.
It's crazy the illusion that you can take with the makeup just from drawing from lines. The outer ends,
Right.
Widening it. It's like you're stretching it.
Now we're gonna clean up under her eye with a wet wipe, just any fallout that may have stained the under eye. All right, we're gonna cut the crease a little more. We're just gonna get a little concealer that we previously used. And I'm just gonna define the crease a little bit more by outlining, by underlining. All right, now we're gonna get into concealer, and we're gonna be using NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Light 2.4.
That's the exact one I used.
All right, I'm gonna be using a My Kid Co brush in 1.0. Go straight in, go. And I'm just gonna start by doing like a baby triangle under her eyes. Bring it in close to the nose. As I get closer to the lash line, I'm gonna be a little more gentle. And I'm also gonna take it and use it to clean up our little wing liner that we did. I'm taking my beauty blender with the extra foundation that it had, and I'm just gonna buff it in and blend everything together. We're gonna be setting everything in place with Laura Mercier translucent powder. I'm gonna get a powder puff and go straight under the eye. All right, now we're gonna do a little baking with Kylie Cosmetics soft pink powder. And I'm gonna get a little black triangular sponge. And I'm just gonna go in the outer part of her nose, extend it to the outer part of her eye, following the guideline we already made for her liner.
What does this do?
This sets your concealer really well and also adds another layer of brightness. So when you photograph, it just looks flawless and bright. And it might look scary, guys, but It's just a part of the process if you want to look really flawless. I'm also doing this in the center of her nose to guide me into my contour. I'm also gonna do a little baking under the cheekbones. And this is almost like a reverse contour. So instead of using a lot of darkness, because you already have such a pretty slim face, we're just gonna be reverse contouring. So we're gonna do highlight instead of contour. All right, now we're gonna do a little powder contour using NARS Laguna, which is one of my favorite bronzers of all time. And we're just gonna lightly contour the jawline. Gonna do the cheeks a little bit, cheekbones, and bring it a little into the temples. And I'm just gonna go right on the sides of my highlight and contour her lips just a little bit more and really snatch it up. So since we already did the powder highlight in the center, it's a really easy guide to make sure your nose is symmetrical. My Benefit Hoola bronzer, and to find the under eye a little bit. I don't want to do too much eyeshadow in the bottom, so I'm just going to use a bronzer to enhance it.
Do you have coffee salt?
Yeah, it's gonna cost you.
It'll cost you $1.50.
$25. No, wait, for real, can I have a coffee?
All right, so now I'm just going to sweep away all the powder, all the baking we've done, and I'm going to focus on sweeping it out outwards and not inwards. We don't want to build more product. So you see when you sweep it off, it gives you a really smooth finish and there's no creases and no shadow under your eyes. Next, we're gonna do a light coat of mascara using L'Oreal Voluminous in Carbon Black, my favorite mascara to this date. And I'm just doing a light coat for now because we still gotta put on lashes and then a second layer of mascara. All right, now we're gonna do Natalia's signature eyeliner look. And we're gonna be using Bobbi Brown Longwear Gel Eyeliner. So before I proceed, I learned this trick from my really good friend Luis Torres from Mexico. And I'm just gonna use a little translucent powder, look up, just as my guideline. A small angle brush. This one is by Bedelium Tools and the number is 762. And I'm just gonna start at the lash line, really close to the lash line, making sure there's no gaps in between. I've already kind of stenciled in where we want to put our shape. So I'm just gonna go from the bottom part and right above the translucent powder, I'm gonna trace my guideline. Now I'm gonna get the tip of the liner and connect it with the rest of the liner. So since we're keeping this liner look just more focused on the outer edges, I'm just gonna detail a little bit of a thinner line in the center. Now that we're done with our liner, all you gotta do is swipe away our powder. I'm also gonna swipe away the baking that we did under her cheekbones because it's ready to be dusted off. So we're gonna do half a strip from Ardell. These are just the good old wispies. And I'm gonna use Duo. So we're putting this right on the band. I like to put a little bend in the lash before I apply it while the glue is getting a little tacky. And I'm just gonna apply the lash right at the corner, outer corner of her eye. I'm gonna push up just a little bit so it's visible. All right guys, so we are getting into our finishing touches of our look and we're gonna go in with blush, and this is a drugstore product by Milani Cosmetics, and this is number 02. And it's kind of like a beautiful little bronzy blush that has like a little bit of shimmer. So I always like to use my hand to get it on the brush and get a little bit out of it so it's not so strong. You could always add more if you need more. I'm just gonna go straight in, and Natalia has amazing cheekbones, so you kind of know where to put your... It's really pretty because it has a really beautiful glow. Like I said, it's almost like a highlight. So you're adding a little color while doing a little bit of highlighting. All right, so we're doing our second layer of mascara using the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black once again. Now we're just gonna connect Natalia's lash to the falsie, and we're gonna use the mascara to join those two together.
Wow. Too bad I have nowhere to go after this.
All right guys, so for lip liner, we're gonna be using Milani in the color Spice. I'm gonna go ahead and line her lips. I always like to start in the center and create a line down the middle to use as a guide. And I'm just going to follow her shape. So from our guideline, I am just following her natural shape into the outer corners of the lips. Same with the bottom. Start in the center and follow your way up to the top. I do like to fill in the outer corners just to give dimension, since we are applying a much lighter color in the center. So to finish off this lip, I'm using Makeup Forever Artist Nude Cream in the color number 3. And I am taking this color and applying it in the center, and then I'm gonna blend it out. So now I'm taking any small brush that looks kind of like this, and I'm just gonna blend in the liner with the lipstick. Skirt!
Oh shit! My soulmate right there.
Okay, so for my inner highlight, I'm gonna be using Miss Fame's Under My Skin brand new palette, and I'm gonna be using this color right here. It's called Orgasm, and I'm just gonna focus this right in the inner corner of the eye, just to give a little pop, and bam, so pretty. All right, guys, for our last step, we're gonna be using Urban Decay All Nighter Spray. This is a setting spray to make your makeup last all night or all day, and I'm just gonna have her close her eyes and just do 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, guys, so for this retro look that we're about to do, while Natalia's hair was wet, I used the Paul Mitchell Sculpting Foam, which is like a mousse, to just get some product in her hair and get it a little dirty. We blow dried it, just rough dried it until it was 100% dry. What I did here was just use a 1-inch curling iron, and we did pin curls basically in diagonal sections.